Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video we'll be taking on the hardest boss in the game, the Infected Broodmother. In order to summon her, you'll need a Moldy Hoagie. The notes for this recipe can be found in the mysterious lab in Moldorf's castle where you fight Director Schmechter. This lab can only be opened with the help of Dr. Tully, so you'll need to kill the Mant before coming here. The note is on the table in the middle here. You'll need 3 toenails, 1 wasp queen head, 1 mantis head, and 2 broodmother fangs to make the Moldy Hoagie. This game is basically forcing you to kill every other boss before taking on this one. You don't technically have to fight Director Schmechter to fight the Infected Broodmother, but I would highly recommend it because you'll get the corporate kickback mutation, but more on that later. Since the Moldy Hoagie is so expensive to make, I highly recommend duplicating it for 1000 raw science before summoning her. The Infected Broodmother layer is located here in the haze. It will only become available to the player once they have plugged the gas leak in the yellow canister with gum. Before we head in there, we'll need to prepare some things. Without a doubt, the best weapon to use here is a toenail scimitar down the fresh route. Since this is a one-handed weapon, you'll want to carry a shield. I recommend the Fire Ant shield for the corrosion bonus. If you're not very good at blocking, fully upgraded roly-poly armor is also a good choice due to its high defense. Trinket-wise, you want to go for the Giddy Goop trinket. This is obtained by killing fireflies. It has a 1% chance of dropping, so I equipped the Sticky Fingers trinket to increase my chances, and I only had to kill a couple of fireflies before it dropped. This trinket deals an extra 25 damage on the last hit of combo hits, and also deals minus attack speed and minus movement speed to enemies. Since the Infected Broodmother is so fast, this trinket is very effective at making her more controlled and more manageable. It also works well in the Black Widows for the same reason. So feeling relatively prepared and tooled up, I had my first attempt at killing the Infected Broodmother. This is how it went. Not very well. So I went home and ate 3 spicy shards to give me the spicy safety mutation phase 2, which reduces damage taken from smashing and stabbing by 50%. Most of the Infected Broodmother's attacks are stabbing attacks, so this is going to protect you a lot. I also upgraded my toenail scimitar to level 9, but I lost the footage, so here's me upgrading it to level 8. Now with better mutations and a fully upgraded weapon, I tried again. This is how it went. But then we had some success. So when you summon her, she'll come out of the ceiling and make sure you peep her. Then she'll climb down the wall to this spot here. Make sure you're waiting here for her so you can get some hits in right away. You'll notice a pool of water to the right. As long as she's standing in this pool, she'll receive 3 buffs, which are lifesteal, immunity to minus attack speed, and a 15% critical hit chance. These buffs will wear off after 2 seconds of her leaving the water. Obviously you want her to avoid the water as much as possible. Our Giddy Goop trinket will lower her attack speed, but if she's in that water, it will have no effect. Lifesteal means she will gain equal health for every bit of damage she inflicts. This coupled with the 15% critical hit chance means that our health is going to take a serious hit while hers regenerates rapidly. Do not approach her while she's in this water, instead try to lure her away from there before attacking. You can see just how many debuffs we're inflicting to her. She has minus attack speed and minus movement speed from the Giddy Goop trinket, corrosion from the Fire Ant shield, infection from the toenail scimitar, and minus attack damage from the Blade Master mutation. Speaking of mutations, mine are Blade Master, Coup de Grace, Trapper Peeper, Spicy Safety, and Corporate Kickback. Blademaster, gained by killing 200 creatures with a sword, lowers the enemy's attack damage by 30%, as well as reducing the exhaustion timer by 90%. Coup de grace, gained by visiting the 4-leaf clover and rolling a 20 on the picnic table guide, increases critical hit chance by 5%. Trapper Peeper, gained by collecting creature gold cards, increases critical hit damage by 20% in phase 1, which is what I've got. Spicy Safety, gained by eating 3 spicy shards, reduces damage taken from smashing and stabbing attacks by 50%. Corporate Kickback, gained from killing Director Schmechter, means perfect blocks have a 5% chance of triggering an effect, where all melee attacks replenish player health equal to the damage they deal for 5 seconds. This is an absolute lifesaver, and why I highly recommend killing Director Schmechter before taking on the Infected Broodmother. He's also ridiculously easy compared to her, so why wouldn't you? So why is this mutation so important in this fight? Well, several of her attacks inflict minus increased healing, which continues stacking until the end of the fight. This means the more of these debuffs she inflicts, the less health you will receive from healing items. So when one smoothie would normally fill your health up, you now need 5 smoothies to receive the same amount of health. This is an absolute killer, and it is pivotal to your success that you perfect block these attacks. So the attacks which inflict this debuff are her 5-bite combo and her scream. If you fail to perfect block these, you will notice this symbol down here, which will have a counter on it, continuing to rise for every block missed. By the end of this fight, that counter is up to 51 for me. However, because I have the Corporate Kickback mutation equipped, I occasionally can regenerate my health after perfect blocks, so it didn't affect me too much. Minus increased healing is not the only debuff she inflicts though. She also inflicts minus attack damage from her scream attack, minus damage resist from the fungal bombs and spore shots, minus exhaustion recovery from her jump attack, and venom from her charged bite and side lunge. This is why perfect blocking is key to survival. The more perfect blocks you perform, the fewer debuffs you will suffer, and ultimately the easier she will be to defeat. Obviously you want to perfect block everything, but that's almost impossible. The attacks I would say are most important to block are her Scream and 5-bite combo. The Scream not only inflicts minus increased healing, but also minus attack damage. Please note that perfect blocking the Scream does not stop the explosive spore bombs from raining down in the arena. If you attempt to perfect block her Scream and fail to do so, you will be stunned, so it's really important to try and time it perfectly. I understand that this is easier said than done, but with practice it becomes a lot easier. You saw how many times I died in the beginning of this video. It takes time to learn her attacks and rhythm, so you need to practice a lot and be patient. So we're now in phase 3, and you'll notice just how fast she is. In each phase, the time between her attacks is reduced by 1.5 seconds. Her stun threshold is also increased, and of course her health is increased too. It's important to note that not only is the Infected Broodmother immune to explosive damage, but she actually heals from it. In phase 1, when hit by explosives, she heals 30% of the damage she would otherwise take, 60% in phase 2 and 120% in phase 3. So it's really important to try and keep her away from the bombs around the arena. She will also periodically lay a spore egg sac, which explodes after 8 seconds. This can be destroyed by the player, but in my experience it's easier to just lure her away from it. While she's laying the egg sac, it's a really good time to get some hits in because she's not attacking you during this time. Another attack she has is a backwards leap, releasing a dust cloud, which inflicts minus movement speed for as long as the player is in the cloud, and minus increased healing for 20 seconds. While this cloud lingers, it's very difficult to see anything, and the Infected Broodmother uses that to her advantage by pouncing over the top of the cloud or lunging through it to take the player by surprise. Make sure to be on your guard when she does this. Another thing she does is scream while the player is in the cloud. For this reason, I tend to continue blocking and releasing while in the dust cloud in the off chance that I might catch a perfect block, which did happen a few times in this fight. As you can see, I'm now in third person view. When I first tried to fight her, I was in first person view, which was incredibly disorienting and difficult to maneuver. It was also very difficult to see the spore bombs on the floor, and as a result I ended up dying from the spore bombs more than from the infected broodmother herself. For this reason I switched to third-person view so I could see my surroundings better and get out of the way of the bombs lying around me. In phase 3 as well, infected gnats will spawn around the top of the arena. I have to admit, I never really noticed them. As long as you stay on the ground, they don't really get in the way. They'll also disarm you if you try to attack them, so I'd just leave them alone if I were you. Remember how the infected broodmother gains buffs when she's in the infected water? Well, if you drink that water, you will also get some buffs, as well as some debuffs. The buffs are a 50% decrease to the exhaustion recovery, and a 15% critical hit chance. But the debuffs are 100% more damage taken, and have 25 points of the block gauge removed. You will also suffer the normal sick effects from nasty water. These effects last for 1 minute. If you're thinking of scooping it into your canteen and saving it for later, forget about it. Once scooped into the canteen, it becomes normal nasty water. I didn't try drinking the water because while the buffs sound good, the double damage debuff would have wiped me out. As you can see, my blocking is a long way from perfect, so if I started taking double damage, I wouldn't last 2 minutes with her. Let me know in the comments if you tried it, and whether you think it was worth it or not. You're about to see the effects of corporate kickback now. So, I did a few perfect blocks there, and now all the damage I'm doing to her, I'm gaining back in health. I've almost completely regenerated my health without taking any healing items, which is really useful because my minus increased healing counter is already on 51, which means I've missed 51 perfect blocks and I'm now suffering all those debuffs stacked on top of each other. But despite that, somehow I managed to kill her. When you do kill her, you'll receive 5,000 raw science and the Spore Lord mutation, which has a chance to apply 4 buffs to the player when they use explosive weapons. These buffs are explosive resistance, increased explosive damage, increased movement speed, and trickle health regen. These buffs can stack while in combat. Upon looting her, you'll receive infected chunks, infected venom, and infected fangs. Analyzing these unlocks the Moldy matriarch armor set, the stuffed infected broodmother, the infected broodmother mount, the infected broodmother brazier, the infected broodmother throne, and the blaster of the Moldy matriarch, which is basically a grenade that continually regenerates. With my newfound confidence in boss fighting, I wanted to try killing her again. Just to let you know, before each fight, I ate Spider Slider for increased critical hit chance, and a Black Ox Burger for increased max health and damage resist. This time I went for the Assassin armor set with the Scythe of Blossoms down the fresh route. The Assassin armor is all about critical hits, so I thought it would be effective. It didn't work out very well. I then decided to keep the armor and go back to the toenail scimitar. This worked very well. It was a much faster fight, almost 2 minutes faster because I was dealing so many critical hits. If you don't know, the piece bonus for this armor is cutment, meaning critical hits cause bleed effect. The infected broodmother is 60% resistant to bleed, but this was still quite effective against her. The set bonus of this armor set is critical chain, whereby performing a critical hit increases the chance of getting another critical hit. Upgrading the armor down a sleek path gives critical stun bonus, whereby critical hits inflict more stun on targets. This is not really effective for the infected broodmother because her stun threshold is so high, it's almost unattainable. However, overall this armor set worked really well against her. As I said, the fight was 2 minutes faster than the first one. It's a shame the Scythe of Blossoms wasn't very good though. I think the downfall was stamina. With the Toenail Scimitar being a sword, I could use Blade Master, which reduced the stamina regen time. But with the Scythe, I had to equip Cardio Fan or Parry Master instead, which just weren't as effective. I'm also a bit miffed at having wasted a bunch of Supreme Quartzite and Twinkling Shells upgrading a fresh Scythe to level 9, which is now basically useless. So we're now in phase 3, and at the start of phase 3 my minus increased healing counter was only on 3, which means I only missed 3 perfect blocks of the 5 hit combos. I'm definitely playing much better than the first fight and getting more perfect blocks in, which is to be expected because I've had more practice. By the end of this fight, that counter is only on 28 compared to 51 in the first fight, so I'm blocking almost 100% better in this fight compared to the last one. So at this point in the fight, we get up to 6 debuffs on her at one time. Look how much her health is going down. I'm really getting loads of critical hits in here, totally hammering her. So I've slowed this bit down here back to normal speed because look at my health. One more hit from here and I'm dead. But instead of taking a healing item, I just keep hoping that corporate kickback is gonna kick in. I keep doing perfect block after perfect block, hoping this will be the one. This will be the one that'll give me my health back. Even her scream, I perfect block as well. I mean, look at this. Bam, perfect. But it never comes. So I end up having to take a smoothie. The thing about corporate kickback is it's only a 5% chance that a perfect block will trigger lifesteal. So no matter how many perfect blocks you do, it's all up to chance. It could be your first perfect block, it could be your last one, or in theory, it might never be triggered throughout the whole fight. So you really shouldn't rely on it like I did here. That was a risky game to play. Overall, despite a couple of near-death experiences, this fight was much more comfortable than the first one. Mostly because I'd had more practice, so my perfect blocking was much better, but also the fight was faster because I was doing more damage. I only used 2 smoothies and 1 bandage throughout the whole fight. So I'm getting cocky now, right? I'm thinking, okay, I've killed her twice. I hardly healed at all. My perfect blocking was on point. Let's try fighting her with Koi scale armor, which, if you don't know, is light armor, so hardly has any defense. So why would I try taking on the Infected Broodmother, the hardest boss in the game, with practically no defense? Well, the Koi scale armor set is all about perfect blocks. I'd like to point out a slight glitch which can occur, whereby she doesn't actually die between phases. You take her health down to 0 and then a new health bar just appears, and you keep fighting. So you don't actually get that cooldown period, which is kind of annoying, but ultimately it didn't stop me killing her. The piece effect is called perfect block, whereby the timing window for getting a perfect block is greatly increased, meaning it's much easier to get a perfect block. The set bonus is dazzling riposte, whereby perfect blocks reduce the enemy's defense. Taking it down a sleek path gives us parry stun, which increases stun dealt after perfect blocks. But like crit stun with the assassin armor, it's not very effective here due to her high stun threshold. The perfect block wasn't as easy as I expected, to be honest. There were times when I thought I had timed it perfectly and I didn't get a perfect block, even with the extended window. It seemed that the window is extended before the perfect block time. So if you block early, you can still get a perfect block. But if you block slightly late, the armor bonus can't help you there. It also seemed that if you block early and then release before the perfect block time, then you don't get a perfect block. But if you block early and hold it until the perfect block time, it will give you that perfect block. I'm not really sure if this is how it works, but that's how it felt for me. Again, this was a faster fight, being 2 minutes faster than the first fight. I also didn't heal much, I only used 2 smoothies. The minus increased healing counter was on 19 this time compared to 51 and 28 in the first 2 fights. So I guess the perfect block bonus of this armor did have some effect, but it wasn't very noticeable while fighting for me. So it wasn't as easy as I expected, but it still helped a lot, and overall this was the easiest fight out of them all. I only had 2 attempts with this armor set, and I succeeded on the second attempt. In the first attempt, I was taken out by the bombs. That's the only downside to this armor set. You can perfect block her attacks, but you're very vulnerable to the bombs because your armor is light. It's worth noting as well that in each of these 3 fights, my armor was fully upgraded to level 9. So the takeaway is use a fresh toenail scimitar at level 9 with the Giddy Goop trinket and the Fire Ant shield. Roly-poly armor, assassin's armor, and Koi scale armor all worked very well. Mutations should be corporate kickback, blade master, coup de grace, trapper peeper, and spicy safety. But even with all the right gear, she's still gonna be really tough, so you have to practice. There's no other way. You have to play well, you have to perfect block. There's no way around it, there's no cheat code, just skill. At the beginning of this, I was terrible. I couldn't even make it through phase 1. Then with more practice, I managed to make it through phase 2, and then eventually, I beat her. Now I've killed her 3 times just for fun. So even if you think that it's impossible and you're no good at perfect blocking, let me be your example. If I can do it, anyone can. So, good luck fighting the Infected Broodmother. I hope this video helps. Thank you so much for watching, and as usual, if you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!